Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is day 10 of Pacific Island Nation Weeks today, and we'd like to thank you for attending the keynote speech by Palau's President, His Excellency, Mr. Surangel Jr. The 10th Pacific Islands Leaders Meeting, PALM 10, has just concluded. I look forward to hearing about the charm and the future of Palau based on the accomplishment of the meeting. His Excellency President Whips, please give your keynote speech.
Good afternoon, Ali, and warm greetings from Palau. President Tsunami, of course, it's great to be here this afternoon to be able to speak with you all, especially to share about Palau and most importantly our partnership with Japan and how we see the future of our young nation. You know, Palau and Japan share a very tōbetsu relationship, and it really comes from a history of really being partners and in before the war and after the war. We celebrate this year 30 years of independence, but also 30 years of diplomatic partnership with Japan. One of the things I always like to share is that Palau is very fortunate that 20%, over 20% of our people have Japanese ancestry. And over 1,000 words in our Palauan dictionary, like tōbetsu and skogi and other words are Palauan words in our Palauan dictionary. It's because that's what we learned, and that's when we began using those words. But when I first started running for president, it was 2016. I didn't make it to office in 2016, but some of the challenges that I saw back then, and still when I ran again in 2020 ring true, were, first of all, we got the compact in 1994, and over the 20 years since we got the compact, or 24 years since we got the compact, that's that special relationship we have with the U.S., we watched an out-migration of almost half our population moving to the United States. And they were moving to the United States because of lack of opportunities. They were in pursuit of the American dream. And I think our biggest challenge was, how do we provide those opportunities for our children so they can earn a decent living, live in Palau, build their families, and have the opportunities to succeed and pursue what I call the Palauan dream. And hopefully that dream is something that everyone aspires to. And I always share the story of my father when he was young, and when he went to university, he didn't have a chance to be on a scholarship, so he had to join the U.S. Army and then take the GI Bill and go to university. But when he finished, before he went to university, his goal was, if he didn't complete university, he wouldn't go home to Palau. When he did finish, the first thing he wanted to do was get on a plane and go back to Palau. And my mother, being an American, he convinced her that we're only going to go there for 2 years. Fortunately, that's where we've stayed. But that dream of his to always return to Palau, to be able to nation build, that's what we want to instill in all Palauan young people, to have that hope and the desire to build a strong nation that they are proud of and they want to live in, and they know they can pursue their dreams. Well, we, over the last 20 years, GDP has been growing at a very slim pace. And in fact, what we've seen is besides out-migration, real wages have not grown along with cost of living. So some of those challenges that we saw in 2016, we said, well, they still exist in 2020, and we need to take action on them. Unfortunately, compounded with that, what did we have? We had COVID. So we were hit with COVID, and the first thing we had to do was get out of COVID. But I think the issues still remain the same. How do we build a strong economy? How does we build a diversified economy? How do we have a good healthcare system and education system that supports the people and really provides them with hope, but most importantly, the security that they need to live in Palau and be proud of their nation. So we were very fortunate that through COVID, I think one of the most important things is we had experts, Palauan medical doctors, but also experts from the outside helping us and guiding us and giving us the best advice to make the best decisions to help our people. And Palau was very fortunate that the community got together and they all agreed that we need to get vaccinated. We need to distance. We need to wear a mask. And fortunately, within the first 4 months of being president, we had the highest rates of vaccination rates. And by early June, we were basically opening bubble flights and being able to have flights to Guam, because we knew that most importantly for us, we need to get tourism back on track. And from that point, we continued to open up. And fortunately, in 2022, in April, we were able to host our Oceans Conference in Palau, partly because of those policies to be able to use what experts are telling us, make the best decisions to safeguard our people, but continue to move on. Same principles apply to economics. One of the things that Palau had to do during COVID was to get into debt to keep the government going. And our previous president and leadership at the time, the OEK, decided that we needed to go to ADB and get a loan, basically up to about $100 million. And in a small economy where GDP is only 300 million, that's a big amount, to ensure that government services and everything continues through COVID. We were able to get that loan, but there was a requirement on that loan. You have to change your tax system. So prior to getting into office, the previous administration had proposed a value-added tax system at 15%. And we're basically replacing a tax system that we had for the previous 78 years. That tax system was really antiquated and actually taxed the lowest income people. So, one of the things that for the last 27 years, whether it's ADB or all these economic institutions, had told us, you need to reform your tax code. And I share that because that's, what we believe is we should use expert advice to try to come up with the best policies to help our people. So in the end, we got into office in 2021, January 2021. One of the first things we had to do was reform our tax code. So we decided that maybe the 15% was too high. We reduced it to 10. We introduced a business profit tax because for many years there was no business profit taxes in Palau. And then we developed programs to help the lowest income return their wages taxes that they didn't been paying back to them. I think one of the major hallmarks to this legislation, the goal was to have a tax system that was equitable, lifted the lowest up, and helped small businesses. So small businesses that had revenues of less than 50,000, no more tax, just pay a business license. And then if you're even smaller than that, you would get a social benefit. So in the end, what is proven, we were able to pass the law in 2021. Implementation was early 2023. And we've been implemented, it's been implemented for about a year and a half. What we ensured was what the taxes we were collecting before and under the new system were not less, they're a little bit more. We gave more back to the people that needed help the most. And at the end of the day, we have been able to also raise wages, which have been so important because as the rising costs due to COVID, due to the war in Ukraine, and climate change, all those inflationary forces have caused our people to really fall behind. And so one of the things that we were able to do was raise the minimum wage in Palau from $3.50 an hour to $5 an hour, which was an important step to try to keep people in step, their earnings in step with the rising cost of living. Lastly, I think what's even more important is how do we diversify our economy to ensure that we have a more resilient economy. So if we're in the case of tourism, we've made big efforts to try to not only depend on the Chinese tourists, because Chinese tourists made up at one point, over 60% of our tourism market. And what we learned is when we didn't necessarily follow what they wanted, which is denounce Taiwan, they would basically weaponize tourism and want change if we don't follow what they aspire to. And we've seen that kind of repeat itself. So in 2016, we had this high number of tourists, and over time it continued to decline. And then, of course, during COVID, it went to zero. Now tourism is back. Chinese market is still the largest share of the market, but in recent weeks, there's been a report out that Chinese say, well, you know, Palau is an unsafe place to visit. You shouldn't go there. And that came after I made a statement about cybersecurity, and it looked like the last hack originated from China, if you can find traces. So, you know, it's just one of those times where we see the economics and weaponizing, using economic coercion to try to influence decisions or the way we address things. But on that, we have a firm belief that we need to diversify where our tourism comes from. And so we've tried everything from possibly extending our runway, finding new partners, and we're grateful to the government of Australia, who is through a flights program where they guarantee the revenue of an airline to fly direct flights from Brisbane to Palau. And this started last year. First they used Air Niugini, now it's Air Nauru, flying one flight a week direct from Brisbane to Palau. Part of that diversification, because we never had flights to Brisbane. We did in the past have flights direct from Tokyo to Palau, Narita to Palau, and from Korea. Unfortunately, those flights have not come back. But it was recently announced, and during our meeting with the Prime Minister, that Japan Airlines hopefully will have charter flights starting next March. But we need to think beyond charter flights. We need regular service, commitment from Japan Airlines or ANA or whoever to have long-term service. Because if we want truly diversified market of tourism, we need regular flights, especially from our partners. And we hope that Korea will restart soon. The good news is that really 2 years ago, right after the pandemic, and one of the things we asked Taiwan to do, President Chai, was restart direct flights, regularly scheduled flights. They started with 2 flights in November of 2022. They increased those in January of this year to 3 flights. And as of this week, I think it's Thursday today, we have the 4th flight. So we now have 4 flights a week from Taiwan to Palau. And we're grateful for that. And that's really goes in line with our goal to diversify the tourism sector and not be so dependent on flights from Macau and Hong Kong, which have been carrying the majority of the tourists. The other thing is we've got to look at ways we can look at other areas that we can develop. One of the areas that we've know that's important to our economy is fishing. And in 2015, we passed the Marine Sanctuary Act, which closed off 80% of our waters to fishing. When early in our term, one of the things that the OEK, our Congress, asked us to do was, let's review that policy. And let's make sure that whatever we're doing, we're optimizing the use of the resources to benefit the people, but ensure that we can continue to fish. So we launched a marine spatial plan, which has recently been pretty much completed. And in consultation with the community and the chiefs, have now proposed to the OEK to increase the fishing area to 50%. Why is that so important? By increasing the fishing area, we can develop the local fishing industry. Having the local industry develop allows us to export tuna and hopefully to Japan. And if we export that tuna to Japan, it'll help tourism because those direct flights that come to Palau now have cargo in the belly of the airplane. But at the same time, it'll help our aquaculture industry because bait fish for the tuna fleets are small milkfish, and we hope to revive that because those bait fish, the larger ones can also be sold on the local market. So it's looking at the whole economy holistically and trying to ensure that whatever we do, there's value capture, there's sustainable fishing, and most importantly, at the end of the day, we optimize the use of those resources to help people, but also help the planet. Because we believe that healthy oceans mean a healthy planet. The other thing that we also believe is important for diversification is not only the fish getting on the planes and maybe more sushi restaurants, but also to develop the culture and historical tourism that's in Palau. And I'm here today with our Minister of Human Resources, but he also has tourism and culture under his belt. And so he's trying to combine that tourism and cultural aspect to make sure that it's an important part of our market, because Palau is well known for diving and for snorkeling and stingless jellyfish, but we also have an amazing history. We have terraces now that they say should be in the a UNESCO World Heritage Site because they date back to the pyramids, and they're our version of the pyramids. So we should preserve those and help people discover more of what we have and to share with the world. We also know that we can't just depend on tourism. The other sector that we are working to try to develop is our fintech industry and looking at opportunities in the financial sector. One of the ones that we are working with Japan on right now is developing the Palau Savings Bond. And the Palau Savings Bond is modeled really after what Japan did many years ago, which was creating the Japan Savings Bond and to keep the money that's generated through savings in Palau and circulating in the Palauan economy. One of our challenges is we have all U.S. banks in Palau, and those U.S. banks tend to just take the money and ship it outside of Palau. We call them post office banks because we deposit the money and they take it outside of Palau. It's not circulating in our economy. So one of the things to do is encourage that money, the domestic savings, to stay in the economy and help spur new industries. In the fintech industry, of course, these days now we have so much happening digitally, and getting into that effort, we have the digital residency program that we've launched. We're trying to look at other programs that can help grow that area. We're looking at the opportunities with gamers, having a gaming competition in Palau. And having tournaments, esports, instead of, it's the Olympics of esports. And, this July, we're having a FinTech conference in Palau and be hosting our first e-gaming competition on the 24th next week. But we're also going to be discussing the digital residency program and other FinTech opportunities like the development of Palau's stablecoin and other opportunities that may arise. Lastly, one of the things that I just believe that I think it has potential is, when you send your kids to college, you want to send them to a place that's possibly safe and they can earn a good education. So one of the things that I think that would be helpful to Palau, and when I was talking to President Tanaka of JICA, just a few weeks ago, he suggested, why not have a university in Palau? And I said, exactly. We need to invite every university in Japan or the United States to come and open up a branch campus in Palau So you can send your kids to Palau, and they can feel safe, but at the same time, it provides really the capacity to develop human resources in Palau, but at the same time, gives you a skilled and technical and all that knowledge to help develop the economy. So we see opportunities on many fronts. Lastly, we know that security is important. Palau has a special relationship with the United States under the compact, which allows the United States control really over our security. And that relationship is important to ensuring peace and security in the region. So the U.S. is now building over-the-horizon radars. They're planning to expand our port facilities and airports to accommodate for U.S. forces. But those partnerships with Japan, with Taiwan, and with Australia, in ensuring that we can maintain the status quo in the Pacific, ensure peace. We believe that presence is deterrence, and we have to do all we can to work together collaboratively to ensure that. But at the same time, those opportunities also present opportunities for us to continue to diversify our markets. I'll just share this example. If the port, which will be developed as a joint use port by the U.S. military, is finished, it will allow not only military ships to now visit Palau, which can also be tourism for us, but also cruise ships. So we hope to have more cruise ships coming from Japan to visit Palau. But finding those joint opportunities that we can work together to further enhance economic cooperation and ultimately promote peace and prosperity for our island. So really, thank you for allowing me to share a little bit about Palau, and hopefully, if anybody's listening, there's lots of opportunity in Palau. We want to encourage Japanese to come and invest in Palau and invest with us. The latest thing I want to share is that for 40 years, there was really only one hotel investment by a big Japanese group, which was the Tokyu Group that built the Palau Pacific Resorts. The good news is that the Donkey Group, Yasuda Sensei, is now building a hotel in Palau. It'll be an Indigo, and we hope to have it done sometime next year. Construction has begun, so I can say that it'll be hopefully be done sometime next year, which hopefully will bring more Japanese visitors to Palau. But it's those types of partnerships, I think, that really help develop long-term benefits to the community, and hopefully economic resilience equals security. So, thank you.
ありがとうございました。Thank you very much for your invitation. パラオ共和国と日本のさらなる発展について、そしてパラオ共和国の現状と課題について素晴らしいプレゼンテーションをしていただきました。それではお時間となりましたので、これにて特別セッションスランゲル・ウィップス・ジュニアパラオ大統領の基調講演を終了とさせていただきます。皆様ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much for your attention. This concludes the special session of the keynote speech by President Surangel Whipps Jr. Thank you.